The NHL's regular season is nearing its end, and the New York Rangers have a chance to potentially go on a special playoff run. And obviously, so far this regular season, the Rangers have been one of the top teams in the entire NHL. They've been playing some great hockey for pretty much the entire season. Now, obviously, they've had their moments when they've been up and down, but for the most part, this team obviously has been playing phenomenal so far in the regular season. But obviously, come playoff time, things change. It doesn't really matter what you did in the regular season as long as you show up and compete in the playoffs and get the job done. That's really all that matters. So we're going to take a look at some of the keys to success for the New York Rangers this upcoming playoffs. Obviously, as Rangers fans, we want to see this team go on a long playoff run. And last year, we did not see that at all. The year before that, though, back in 2021, 2022, this team went all the way to the conference finals and ended up losing in 6 games to the Tampa Bay Lightning, which, that was a fun playoff run there, obviously, but it was sad to see it end. This year, hopefully, we see this team go all the way and potentially win the whole thing, but there obviously are some factors that will go into that, whether they do or do not end up winning the Stanley Cup. So starting off here, taking a look at, I would say, the biggest key to success for the New York Rangers come playoff time, and that is Igor Shesterkin. When he is on his game, he is one of the best goaltenders in the entire NHL, and we have seen him have some great playoff success with this team. Now, obviously, last year's playoff run didn't really have much of a run, as it was one series there where he lost in 7 games to the Devils, which obviously was not ideal, but Igor in that series played phenomenal. He had a .931 save percentage and a 1.96 goals against average. And the previous playoff run in 2021, 2022, when the Rangers went all the way to the conference finals against Tampa, he ended up posting a .929 save percentage and a 2.59 goals against average. So he's clearly a guy who can perform when it matters most, when the pressure's on, when everyone's chanting Igor or whatever it is, whether it's the away fans, the home fans. He can get the job done when it matters most, for the most part, and that's what you want to see at your goaltender. I mean, Igor is a guy who has proven to be a playoff performer. He has done so the last 2 playoffs. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see out of your starting goaltender. This is a guy who, when he's on his game, he's truly an elite goaltender, and that is why, if he's on his game come playoff time, he's a guy who can carry this team a very, very long way. And having a guy like Jonathan Quick as his backup as well, just in case something happens. I mean, we don't obviously want to see something happen, but if it does, at least there's a guy back there in Jonathan Quick who can, hopefully step in, and I'm sure will do a fine job. He's obviously got that playoff experience as well, so that is definitely nice to have him as a backup goaltender. Taking a look at kind of Igor so far this regular season, he's obviously been kind of up and down. To start this season, kind of down, then went back up for a bit, then back down, then it was up for a while there, but then obviously the last little while here, the last few games, hasn't been performing the best, so we'll see what happens. Obviously come playoff time, hopefully he can kind of heat up here the rest of the regular season and have a really good start to the playoffs. But either way, this is the guy who has performed come playoff time when it's mattered most. And taking a look here at another key to success for the Rangers, and that is the Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, and Jack Roslovic line. Last year's playoff series against Devils there, Chris Kreider was scoring at a very good rate, had 6 goals in 7 games played, but 5 of those goals were on the power play. So obviously, the 5-on-5 scoring with him was not quite there. Mika Zibanejad had 1 goal in 7 games in that series as well. So a total of 2 goals between Mika Zibanejad and Kreider at 5-on-5 in a 7-game series against the Devils last year was just not good enough, right? We need more out of them at 5-on-5. Although that 5 goals on the power play for Chris Kreider in 7 games, that is phenomenal as well. Yes, that's great, but we need more 5-on-5 production out of these guys, so having them produce at a much better level at 5-on-5 would be a huge boost for this team. Now, obviously, that is much easier said than done, but these are guys who, back in 2021, 2022, both Kreider and Zibanejad put up some very good numbers in the playoffs. Mika Zibanejad had 24 points in 20 games played. He was over a point per game, had 10 goals, 14 assists. And Kreider, he had 20 games played, 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points. So both these guys performed at a very good level in that long playoff run in 2021, 2022. Kreider had a pretty good overall production, not at 5-on-5, but just overall good production. Wasn't bad last year's playoff series against the Devils. But Mika didn't have the best production. So hopefully they can obviously have a great playoff run. And a guy like Jack Roslovic as well on that line, he's in a contract year, so he's going to want to have a pretty great playoff run to obviously earn as much money as he can. So hopefully he's a guy who will have a great playoff performance on that line as well. And taking a look here at the other top 6 forward line, the Panarin, Trocheck, and Lafreniere line that has been the clear best line of the Rangers so far this season. Obviously, I mean, they have been quite phenomenal, but take a look at last year's playoff series against the Devils. All 3 of these guys were, honestly, offensively, the production was quite terrible. Panarin had 2 assists, no goals in 7 games played. Then you have Vincent Trocheck, who had 1 goal, 1 point in 7 games played. And then Lafreniere had 0 points in 7 games played. They were all quite terrible with the offensive production. But when you take a look at how good these three have been together so far this regular season, I think it's clear that they have a chance to have a pretty great playoff run here. They are a very, very big key to success for this team. If they're not scoring at a very good level at 5-on-5, then this is going to hurt this team a lot. So hopefully we can see a lot of that production kind of revert back to that 2021-2022 playoff run where a lot of these guys are performing at a much better level. I mean, even Lafreniere put up a lot better numbers in the playoffs there in his first actual playoff run with the team. Same thing with Trocheck. I mean, he was still with the Canes there, obviously, and the Rangers played the Canes in one of those series there in that second round, but still, even he had a much better playoff run that year with the Canes. So I think in general, obviously, you got to have a lot better production out of these top 6 guys here. They have to do a much better job than they did last season in the playoffs against the Devils. And for that bottom 6 there, we have some pretty good kind of two-way forwards down there. So those guys playing, good two-way game, shutting down the other team's kind of top lines when they're out there against them, and just in general playing some good two-way hockey. Obviously, producing a bit as well would be a very beneficial thing. And, playing a physical game, hitting a lot, blocking shots, trying to tire out the team definitely can play a big factor in series. So having the bottom 6 there doing their job could be a huge part of it. And this team has a lot more depth after the deadline as well. I mean, adding in Wenberg and Roslovic helped out a ton, but adding in a guy like Wenberg on that third line there, having him be that really good kind of two-way shutdown center, I think is very important. So we have a pretty good kind of bottom 6 now, a lot of good defensive forwards there. Having these guys produce and do their job definitely will help this team out a ton. And for the defensemen, honestly, a big thing for them is just to stay healthy. They have been injured and banged up quite a bit the last little while, so having these guys stay healthier is definitely going to be a big factor in whether or not we end up going on a deep playoff run, depending on how many injuries we have on the back end. Obviously, Zach Jones and Chad Ruhwedel, pretty solid depth there, but in general, having these guys stay healthier would be a huge, huge help for this team. Anyways, though, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please smash the like button. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this video, and don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content.